gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's June the 8th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented as always by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Matt, the time is now for the new 250 rankings to come out, which they did yesterday. And when we took a deep dive into them, there was a realization that the Miami Hurricanes are in the mix for quite a lot of kids, and I'm going to go through some of them here in a minute. But let's talk just generically about, we almost on a daily basis talk about recruiting on this show. We have been overwhelmingly positive, at least I have. I don't know about Matt Shodell. He's not positive about much, but I've been very positive about what I've been seeing in the Miami recruiting effort. I get accused of thinking everybody's coming to Miami. No, I do not. And you will see as we go through some of these that there are not a ton of guarantees in there. But the thing I like, Matt, and I know I'm a broken record on this, I like that they are in the fight for some of the best players in the country. There's 19 5-stars. Miami's in the mix with 10 of them.
Yeah, there's look, there's 38. Not that I counted. There's 38 players out of the 250 that are being recruited hard by Miami and that have reciprocal interest. Now, with that said, by my count, I think they'd be lucky to get 5. 5 of them.
But that's not bad.
Well, it's not bad, except when you get 5 out of the 38, who are the leftovers? They're putting so much effort into this. And I know that they recruit everybody really hard, but at the end of the day, there really is only so much time to recruit 100, 150 guys the way you want to recruit them. So you really want to try to sort of narrow in on the ones that not only that you sense that you can get, but that you have to beat out schools for. So if as you guys look through the story we did yesterday, look at how many programs have Alabama, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Florida, USC, these types of programs are the other ones battling. And those, and Texas A&M, et cetera, LSU, they can't take everybody, but they'll take these kids, And my concern is right now, Mario Cristobal is a new coach. There's the excitement of the new program. He's a great recruiter. But let's face it, Miami, and we talked about this years ago, Miami's not the school that these student athletes remember like we do as a national championship team. What these student athletes from out of state, because the vast majority of the ones we're writing about, the 38, are from out of state. What they know about Miami is this is a program that's struggling and has always struggled from their lifetime, that they think maybe it'll be good this year. And now there's another school that comes along, another 4 schools that come along that are competing for national championships and have proven that their coaches can put players in the NFL. That's what Mario Cristobal is battling against. So, I don't want to be negative or positive. It's just, that's a fact. That's a fact. And so fans should not be discouraged, and yell at me if he only gets 4 or 5 of these 38 guys. You're not, and that would be good. Like Gary said, getting 5 out of 38, that's a failure for Alabama. That's a failure for Ohio State. That's a failure for a lot of programs that are perennially top 10 teams. Miami's not that anymore. Miami has to build that back. People can say, oh, look at Michigan State. They turned it around in 1 year. That was through the portal. It's very hard to get recruits to just flip a switch and say, I'm going to take a chance. I'm a 5-star, but I'm going to take a chance. What do I need to go to a school like Alabama or Ohio State for? I can go to Miami and be just as good, and Miami will be just as good as those schools. That's a leap of faith. Now, just like I talked about yesterday with NIL deals, and maybe Miami gets some of these guys and they wind up, boom, they're gone somewhere else on Sunday. Well, the reverse is also true, right? For some of these guys who maybe will commit to Alabama, maybe will commit to Ohio State, maybe that's where they want to go. If they sense through some foreign entity, we'll just call that foreign entity an agent. We'll just name it agent. I don't, just randomly I'll pick that word. If this quote unquote agent, whatever that word means, tells a 5-star, hey man, you come to Miami, you're getting $500,000, bro. I don't know what happens, but probably something good for Miami. So it works both ways. Recruiting is not what it used to be. So maybe this will work in Miami's favor because, like I just said, with these 38 kids on this list that are wanted by everybody in the country, Miami naturally wouldn't be the school you'd pick them to go to unless you're a Miami fan or unless you're named Gary Ferman.
All right, but
that's it. All right, that was my DNR.
All right, but listen,
I'm done.
The bottom line
is, now.
We could talk about 38 kids all we want, whatever. Like they're going to hone in on their 5 or so, 6 kids, whatever, that they feel they can get. Those are the kids.
They're going to hone in based on what those kids tell them. Those kids are like, I'm not coming. Now they're going to hone in on the 5 or 6 they can get. They want all 38.
Let's be honest. All these kids, after they pick their school, are going to get NIL deals.
Let me tell you something.
I don't want to interrupt you. Give big NIL deals to everybody in the 250. Okay, everybody in the 100. It's not reality. You're going to be able to deal with a few 5 stars, and the same thing with Alabama and Georgia too. They're not getting a million of 5-star kids either. Like there's 19 of them. If Georgia gets a couple, Alabama gets a couple, Ohio State gets a couple, Miami gets a couple. That I think that's how you're going to see it spread out. Maybe Texas A&M promises to be in there to get a couple, and then it's going to move on from there. But Matt, let's talk specifically about a few of these kids. Second-ranked Cormani McClain at the beginning of recruiting, it seemed like Miami might have a real shot there, but that seems to have cooled off a bit. I don't think anybody right now, even though he hasn't shut the Canes out just yet, I don't think anybody is looking at him as a likely Miami commitment anytime soon. But number 3, Samuel Mbemba, is probably a little bit of a different story. Miami is smack in the middle of it for this IMG Academy defensive end. Obviously, there's a lot of different places he can go. He has only scheduled 1 official visit to this point. That's Notre Dame. But Matt, I'll stop there and let you comment. Samuel Mbemba, Miami's alive in that one.
Not getting Samuel Mbemba.
Huh?
No. Here's what they're getting, okay? They're getting Jaylen Brown.
Wait, don't start jumping through the whole list. I'm going to go
You're going to go through 38 kids.
Time out. Time out. Well, let's do this systematically. I'm not trying to race through the whole list. I mean, we have time. People have a full commute to work here.
You want to go through 38 names and have 33 kids? You want me to tell you? I mean, you're going to go through 33 kids. I want you to tell me what
you think about Mbemba. That's what I'm asking about right now. Mbemba.
I just don't feel like constantly sounding negative by saying he's not coming. He's not coming.
You are negative. I just said I think they're in the middle of it.
32 of these kids, I'm going to say he's not coming. I mean, what do you want from me? That's where things stand. If Samuel Mbemba was signing today, he's not coming to Miami. Like, what do you want?
All right, so I think they're in the middle of that one. You don't. Okay. Number 6, Brandon Inniss. He has wanted to go away from day one. Alabama, Ohio State, USC. I don't think. See, I'm objective, man. I'm going to say I don't think Brandon Inniss is coming to Miami.
So objective.
But I do think they haven't given up there. Would you agree?
They haven't given up with. Listen, when I went through this list,
I'm asking you about Brandon Inniss.
I'm trying to answer.
Stop trying to jump through the whole list.
I'm not going to the list. I'm trying to answer your question. So these are 38 kids that we have.
I don't want to hear about 38 kids.
There was another 30 or 40.
The list.
There was another 30 or 40 that a month and a half ago would have been on this list. And they're not on the list anymore because Miami's not serious about, they weren't serious about Miami, so Miami is not serious about them. Well, guess what? Brandon Inniss isn't very serious about Miami, but we're putting him on the list because he's a top-rated local kid. I don't expect him to come here. I mean, I don't want to be negative. Like, this is why I want to go through the whole list one by one.
He does keep going down there. He does keep going down. But I don't think, like I said, I don't think he's going to Miami either. All right. This time I'm going to ask you let's talk about number 7, Nicholas Harbor. He's an athlete from the Washington, D.C. area. Everyone in the world's recruiting him. I think that if they can get him to official visit, that they have as good a chance as anybody on his list because he's probably not going to Maryland. He's going to probably go away for school.
Listen, I mean, who am I to argue with you, Gary? He's definitely coming.
No, I didn't say he's definitely coming. I said
hey, if he comes on a visit, he's as good a chance as anybody. If you say that, great. I disagree, but I'm just keeping it real, man. I'm not going to say all these kids are coming. Like, what do you want from me? This is why I don't want to go player by player.
All right, Dante Moore. Okay, we had a story a week ago with his dad saying that the Canes have at least a 50-50 shot to land Dante Moore. Now, here's my opinion on Dante Moore. I think this is one of the kids that, whether it's the new collective, whether it's John Ruiz, I think this is one of the kids that'll have a circle, okay, to try to get to come to Miami. But so will everybody else. Notre Dame, LSU, Oregon. They're all.
Again, you're suggesting Miami's going to do something illegal. I'm never going to suggest that.
I didn't say illegal.
If they offer any of these kids,
illegal.
If they offer any of these kids, you can't offer a kid anything in high school. If they offer a kid $1 million, they'll all come here.
No, I didn't say illegal, but kids are going to know. Okay,
it is illegal. That is illegal for them to know.
Kids are going to know you got big NIL waiting for you. We can't negotiate with you until you're already on the commit list and coming to school or on campus or whatever. But wink, 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 you're going to be all set here if you come here. That's going to be communicated by somebody. Okay.
But right. I'm not going to go on this show and say Miami's doing anything wrong. Okay, that's just
no, they're not.
Call me crazy.
But you don't have to do anything wrong. Like, it's not hard for that to be communicated. A parent could call Ruiz. A parent could,
that's illegal. John Ruiz can't say we'll give him $400,000 if he comes here. It's illegal. Doesn't matter who he says it to. He could say it to a kid's fairy godmother. It's still against the rules. Like, I'm not going to go there, man.
I think the rules are murky. I think you can't say to a kid, come to Miami, we'll give you $200,000. That you can't do. Okay, that's against the rules. But you can look at the NIL deals that have been done and get a gauge, I think. I don't think you have to go in blind. But it is still evolving, Matt, and it's going to, like we've talked about on the show, it's going to change. But anyway, I think Dante Moore has a circle around his name. I think that's a kid that, clearly has an interest in Miami. There is no doubt in my mind about it. And the dad told us that Miami is very much in it. So, we'll see what happens. If you wanted to just go to Notre Dame, I think you would have already made that move. Okay. So, we'll see. All right. Anthony Hill has been a little bit of a battle out of Denton, Texas. He's an inside linebacker, great player. Canes are in it, but they're fighting for his last visit. I don't feel real optimistic about that one. If you do, stop me now. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to number 12, David Hicks Jr. Now, I met David Hicks Jr. and his dad last year at the Manny Diaz camp, and I could flat tell you that there is genuine interest in Miami. The dad loves Miami. They're coming for official visit this weekend. We'll have a better read, I think, after this weekend where Miami stands. But I think this is another one with a circle around it. I really do. I think Miami is very much alive in this one, Matt. And I'm not going to predict that it's going to go the Canes' way. I don't think it's there yet. But would you agree with me that this one's a legit opportunity?
I mean, look, while you're doing your little soliloquy here, I'm just keeping notes on, I don't do it the way you do it. I don't speculate. A lot of these kids haven't even visited yet. Like, I'm not going to speculate, but I have, and we could discuss this when you're done with your soliloquy on all 38 kids, but I've got.
I just want to hear about Hicks.
I've got 5 kids that I think I'll wind up here out of the 38.
I'm asking about Hicks.
And I've got Hicks.
Why can't I get you focused this morning?
And I've got Hicks as one of the ones that I would say is 50-50.
Oh, okay, good. All right, good. All right. Oh my God, this is painful.
I mean, you get to talk for 10 minutes about each kid. I can't say.
No, I'm just focusing on the ones I think there's circles around with a chance.
I can't say I have 5 kids rated higher than Hicks in terms of their ability to come here. Like, God forbid I say that. I mean, that's all I said.
No, here's the next one I'm going to say. Okay, I think there's a circle around this one too. That's number 13, Jaden Wayne. Okay. Obviously, everybody in the country is recruiting Jaden Wayne. He's from Tacoma, Washington. They were recruiting him at Oregon. Their relationship started there. Everyone, like I said, Bama, Georgia, LSU, Michigan State, everyone's in the mix here. Jaden Wayne, to my eye, has shown a genuine interest in Miami, Matt. We've met him. We've met his family at the Hecht on previous visits. He messages us. We talk all the time. I mean, how do you feel about Jaden Wayne?
50-50.
Okay, so you got him on your 50-50 list too.
I don't want to talk too much. It seems to upset you, so I'm just going to say 50-50.
I'm not upset. I'm just trying to keep you focused on individual kids.
I try to put each one in perspective on the list, but you don't want that. So 50-50. There you go. Move on.
All right, but no, seriously, Jaden Wayne, haven't you gotten the impression
50-50.
There's genuine? But I mean, I'm not talking about percentages. I'm talking about genuine interest.
Yeah. Otherwise, it wouldn't be 50-50.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
you're looking at Alabama, Georgia, LSU. Like, if you think he's better than 50-50, I'll take the odds and bet against you as much as I want him to be a Hurricane.
All right, number 15, Samson Okunolu. We don't really have a feel yet, but it's a good sign that he's coming for Legends Camp weekend. That's a great weekend to get a elite kid to come visit, and he can go anywhere he wants. It's a 6'5", 300-pound offensive tackle. That's just a beast. He's from Massachusetts. Matt, I'm not going to even ask you for a percentage there because I know we do not have a feel yet. I'm going to skip over to number 16, Hicks Williams. Now, this one is kind of like a little bit annoying, kind of like a pesky mosquito type of annoying because he's from Fort Lauderdale, Stranahan, a kid who was very focused in on Miami when recruiting began. But now it seems like everybody's gotten their hooks into him. Texas A&M, quite a bit, Georgia, Bama, the usual suspects. He has set up official visits to this point to Georgia and Pittsburgh. I can't imagine he ends up at Pittsburgh. But Matt, what's your thoughts on where Miami stands with Hicks Williams?
My thoughts is just this whole thing's so depressing. You remember the days when these kids were all dying to come to Miami? Miami had to turn away top recruits, top 4-stars. I mean, like this kid never would have left Miami back in the day. There was no chance Hicks Williams would have gone anywhere else back in the day. It's just this whole, for those of you that think I look miserable, I am miserable just because putting together this list, it was like so few of these kids were coming. I mean, Hicks Williams is not going to probably wind up here unless the only chance that some of these kids have to come here is if Josh Gaddis has like a wide open, amazing passing offense with Tyler Van Dyke,
which
and
maybe he'll throw a lot.
Convince some of these kids, but I honestly think Gaddis is going to go more to a 50-50 pass run. It'll be less passing offense than there was last year under Rhett Lashley. So I don't know that Hicks Williams is going to be drawn to that. I don't know that there's a way to sway him, especially if Tyler Van Dyke leaves after this year. It's an uphill battle with some of these guys that he doesn't naturally want to be a Hurricane. In the old days, these guys naturally wanted to be Hurricanes. Like it's just depressing a little bit,
Well, they already have Washington committed. Okay, so that's one. If you hold on to that, that's one really good receiver. I think there's a great chance that Jaylen Brown comes to Miami.
Are you jumping ahead on the list, Gary? What are you doing? Are you crazy?
I am. I'm sorry.
Hicks Williams.
I'm in charge, though. That's okay. I can jump, but I'm not going to jump. I'm just all right. Let me put it this way, so I stick to my own rules. They're going to get. They might get 3 receivers. There's like 7 of them in South Florida. They're not getting the ball, and unfortunately, Hicks Williams is one that seems to be slipping away, but it's not over yet. That would be the best way, I think, to describe that. All right, Matt, I think you're going to be happy about this. Now we're in 4-star territory, but Francis Maigoa, also from IMG Academy over there in Bradenton. I think Miami is doing a good job of recruiting him. And yes, he's got all the big schools, Alabama, USC, Florida, Tennessee involved. I do think Miami has a chance with Francis. Your thoughts?
35%.
All right. And then it goes on from there. I mean, I'm not going to go through every kid. The stories on the website. Malik Bryant, I don't get the impression that there's a ton of traction there, but he will be here for Legends Camp weekend, so you never know. Jaden Rashada, same thing. I mean, if he really was going to come to Miami, you would think he'd be committed already. But I mean, he just keeps going, keeps taking visits. and his flirtation with Florida seems to be getting very intense for whatever reason. I mentioned Jaylen Brown earlier. I do think Miami's got a great shot with him. They're trying to flip Ray Joseph from Clemson. He's on the list. And Raul Aguirre, the inside linebacker from Fayetteville, Georgia, who's got a Cane connection through his dad. I think even Matt Shodell would agree Canes have a great chance there. Jonel Aguero, the defensive back from Massachusetts. Miami seems to have a chance there, but again, great schools, Georgia, Ohio State, it's going to be tough to land him. And the list just goes on and on and on. The bottom line is Canes are in the mix for a lot of top kids around the country. You can get a nice snapshot of it by looking at that content item on the website, and hope you enjoy that.
So you don't want the ones that I have above 50%. All right.
Yeah, no, go. Who do you have above 50%? Now you can jump around.
Okay, so here's the 5 that I think on this list come to Miami, and people might be surprised. Jaylen Brown. I got Ruben Bain. I got Stanquan Clark. And then the 2 that people that are committed elsewhere, I think, wind up here, Mark Fletcher and Nathaniel Joseph. I really do think they wind up here, believe it or not. And then the ones that maybe I'd put a little above 50%, but not in anything close to, those 5 guys, personally to me, I'd say Raul Aguirre and Jackson Howard. But those guys really have to take their officials. It's just hard to say until they do that. But I think, there are 2 that I think if signing day was today, Miami would be one of the final 2 for each of them, which is why I think there's a good chance with them. And then everyone else, like I mentioned, Hicks and Wayne, maybe 50-50. But everyone else on that list, I'd put below 50% chance with. And I'm just being honest, man. I'm not being a fan. I'm just being honest. I mean, fans are going to say we'll get 10 or 15 of those guys maybe, but that ain't me.
For right now, I don't disagree with you. I think you're pretty much nailing it, and we'll see what happens there. All right, other stuff on the website this morning. I mentioned David Hicks earlier. He's a 5-star defensive end from Katy, Texas. I mentioned that we saw him at the Manny Diaz camp last year. The kid is unbelievable. Okay, unbelievable. You just watch this kid work out. And it's scary how good this kid's going to be. This kid will be a first-round draft pick into the NFL. There's no doubt in my mind. He will be an All-American level talent at the college level. He's going to take his official visit to Miami this weekend. We preview that visit by talking to his dad just about where things stand with David and just what the plans are from here. Clear interest, Matt, by David Hicks in Miami.
Yeah, it's a good thing that I talked to Mr. Hicks yesterday, earlier in the day, and then I wrote the story up last night. But if I hadn't, I don't know if he would have talked to me, because there's a certain website that dropped him from number 2 to number 12 on their national list. That's our list, not our list, but the list that we're using. So, he might not have been so happy to talk to me if he'd known that was going to happen. I didn't know that was going to happen at the time. He was behind some guy. I think the guy's last name was Manning, something like that. I think that's who he was behind. And now he's behind 11 other guys somehow. But I agree with you. I think Hicks is first round written all over him. Like I said, I think there's a decent chance with him. And, for me to say that, guys, there's actually a chance. Like,
there is.
That's
there's definitely a chance.
For those of you that are watching, that's the nice thing. Like, when I say something even has a chance, like, it's probably true. When Gary says something has a chance, it may not be true.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, Gary's going to keep his mouth zipped about the rankings because I don't want to get accused of anything. But, David Hicks, at least he's a 5-star because I'm telling you, this kid can flat bring it. And he's scary coming around the edge on the pass rush. And it's going to be interesting to see where things stand with him after this weekend's visit. All right, want to talk about a couple other things, Matt, but first I want to take a moment and let's hear from our friends at Life Wallet.
I will be your shield in the fiercest battle. I'll defend you.
Yeah.
Hey, my name is Cleveland Reed, and I play offensive line, and my job is to protect. I protect my family with Life Wallet. How about you?
course, I got Life Wallet. It's the best way to protect my family.
Long as we go together, we'll die whenever. Be a light, couldn't let the darkness try you ever. Truth in my word, you I lie to never.
To protect you and your family, get Life Wallet now.
Life Wallet. Saving time, saving lives.
All right, so with five-star David Hicks visiting this weekend, we thought we'd have a little fun and take a look at Miami's history with five-star recruits. We take a look at some of the cool little things in relating to five-star recruits. Those who lived up to their five-star billing, guys like Devin Hester, Duke Johnson, Greg Olson. For starters, guys that contributed that were multi-year starters, but not quite at the five-star level, like Ray Armstrong, Craig Cooper, Chantrell Henderson, and some others. Guys that had to be considered can't miss five stars. That guys that were five stars but have to be considered a miss after their careers. And Tyler McMeans, Mark Pope, Lance Leggett, certainly are on that list. And then there were some that just totally flamed out, like LaTuan Anderson, Arthur Brown, Lorenzo Wingard. Even Willie Williams had, because of his legal problems and everything, just never really reached his potential, I guess we should say. So, Matt, I think the bottom line, and people can judge for themselves as they go through the rest of that content item, is being a five-star is great. It shows that you had a great college career, but it is not a guarantee, not a true predictor necessarily of what's going to happen on the college level.
Yeah, and Miami coaches back in the day when they would actually get some five stars that were any good, they would treat them differently. And the way Miami Hurricane coaches would treat them differently means they would treat them worse than the rest of the team. And a coach once told me, when we get a five-star, we have to deprogram them, because five stars, by their very nature of being a five-star, it means they're physically already at the college level and able to dominate. They probably matured earlier than others. They're faster, stronger, bigger, whatever you want to say, than everyone they play against for the most part. And they don't have to really work as hard to dominate. And they have everyone telling them how great they are. And they can't miss. They're going to make millions in the NFL. Everyone's patting them on the back all the time. Versus the three-star, who really, to get a major offer, has to work their way up. And they really, you could say they appreciate it maybe more. I hate to say that, but I think it's true in some cases. So when a five-star, and I hate to use Kellen Winslow as an example just because of all the problems he's had. But I remember when he came in, and CJ at the time was a receivers coach. Kellen Winslow actually came in as a receiver, not a tight end. And I remember Curtis Johnson, CJ, was every practice screaming at him, taking him on the side, telling him how bad he is in front of us, and that was par for the course for five stars. And I assume Kellen Winslow was a five-star coming out of high school. The records I looked at don't go back that far, okay? But if he wasn't, I'm sure he was a high four-star. And actually, I think he was a five-star. But the point is, you look at the list of five stars on the website this morning, and it's pretty remarkable that, I don't know the percentage of four stars, high four stars that have panned out, but I would argue probably they panned out at a pretty similar rate, high four stars, to what we see with these five stars success at Miami. So yeah, being a five star is not all that. And I'm very curious, I didn't cover Oregon, but I'm curious if Mario Cristobal, because Mario Cristobal was here, he knows what was going on when some of these five stars were coming in here. And I'm curious if they're going to do the same thing and sort of try to deprogram some of these quote unquote attitude kids who come in thinking they're better than everyone else and not realizing they're part of a team. They have to work maybe even harder than everyone else to prove they're not resting on their five-star laurels, because everyone who comes in as a five-star has a target on their back from their teammates to prove that, hey, I'm better than that five-star, and then from opponents who are going against a former five-star, right? It's not easy to be a five-star. Five stars, you think it's all glitz and glamour, but there's a lot of people want to show you up every single minute of every single day, whether it's on your own team or on a different team, from high school up through college.
All right. Well, we made it through all of that conversation. We got you somewhat focused, so that's a good thing.
I was focused. I didn't like your format for going through every player and saying how he wasn't going to come here.
I didn't go through every player. I went through some of the players.
Listen, I'm already a miserable, negative person. I don't need to be made more miserable and negative by having a look at these players who I don't think are coming here, okay?
All right. So there are a couple more stories on the website today. One is about a 2024 quarterback by the name of Isaac Wilson. He'll be visiting Miami. And then the last one I really want to talk about, just because we've introduced him on this show before and his recruitment is picking up so much, and that is Miami Killian linebacker Stanquan Clark. His visit list is starting to expand. NC State is going to get his first official visits. He has not set any other officials yet, but Michigan, Florida State, Florida, Miami, and Kentucky are all in the mix to get that. The Hurricanes, Matt, are clearly doing well in recruiting Stanquan Clark. He was a late emergence in terms of being such a huge priority for Miami, but he's a 4-star linebacker now. He's had a great spring. For the last one today, I will ask you, what do you think about Miami's recruitment of Stanquan Clark?
Already asked and answered. You could look at the 20-minute mark. I want to talk about something else right now, okay? We're doing that 5-star look at all the former guys, and it just reminded me of a nice story. So anybody who hates my stories, you can sign off now. I'll do the sign off. Thanks for watching, everybody. For Gary Ferman, who thinks everyone's coming to Miami, and Matt Shodell, who thinks 5 people are, have a great day. All right, now I'm going to tell my Devin Hester story, okay? So the only reason I mention it is because he's a 5-star, former 5-star, one of the few that panned out. You can read the story. And I don't know if people remember this, but this was one of the favorite stories I ever broke, okay? I called Devin Hester because he hadn't reported to Miami with everyone else in August, whatever the date was. Back then, these kids didn't really graduate early for the most part. And I said, Devin, do you know when you're reporting yet? And I never met Devin in person. I just talked to him over the phone several times or whatever. And he says, man, I don't know. I'm like, what's going on? He says, Florida State told the NCAA that I cheated on my SAT and they're making me retake it. And I wrote that story. Like, what am I? That was this. Like, he said it on the record. You can imagine this was however many years ago. He was in high school senior. I mean, the story blew up. Like, it was a great story. And I wonder, look, if any of you out there run into Devin Hester, ask him about that, because I'm sure he'll remember that. And then the funny thing was, so then he got all this flack, and people, FSU people and Miami people, just going crazy at each other. And this was before the days of really Twitter and everything, right? So it was even without all that social media stuff. And then we started covering practice. First few days of practice, no Devin Hester. And then I'd never met Devin in person. And this was back in the day where you sort of look at their, you can see some pictures of them here and there. And I see a guy who looks like Devin Hester out on the practice field one day. And I figured, hey, what a great chance. He hasn't been answering his phone because obviously, this is a major story. And now coaches told him, don't talk to anybody. Because apparently he was too dumb to realize he shouldn't say FSU reported into the NCAA. and I see him walk off, and I see he's got a tattoo on his arm that says Devin. And I'm like, I start walking off with him when no other media is looking at me. I start walking off with him. I'm like, hey, Devin, you got a minute? He looks me in the eye. He goes, I'm not Devin. And he walks off. And of course it was Devin. But love you to death, Devin Hester. I enjoyed covering you. And we always had a good relationship, but I thought that was very funny. I got some other Devin Hester stories. I don't know if people, I'm not going to tell them because they don't reflect very well on him. But
oh God, well, you had to drop. Why you couldn't just leave it alone? You had to say you have stories that don't reflect well. Okay,
I'm going to tell the story. Right. I'm going to tell it. I'm going to tell it.
Not if it doesn't reflect well.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Here's what happens, okay? I am an English and classics major from the mighty jumbos of Tufts University. That's what I studied. That's what I majored in. So, of course, I know the epic poems of Homer, the Iliad, the Odyssey, all that stuff. And one of the times I was interviewing Devin Hester, he was with his girlfriend, who was a basketball player, and he had a dog with him for the first time. I'd never seen this dog before, a super cute dog. And I said to Devin, what's your dog's name? And Devin says, Achilles. And I was shocked. I was like, wow. I'm like, you read Homer? I was very excited. This is what I studied. I grew up reading Homer. And Devin says, who's Homer? And I said, why'd you name your dog Achilles? And he says, because of the movie Troy. That was the story, Gary. Was that so terrible?
All right. let's get out of here. At this point, people are crashing their cars on their way to the office.
That's a true story.
So yeah,
There's no libel there. That's a true story.
Listen, I wholeheartedly thank everybody for making us part of their morning.
Everybody read Homer's The Iliad and the Odyssey. Everyone read the Iliad and the Odyssey. Cambridge edition. Well worth it. It's better than watching Hurricanes games for the last 20 years.
Don't pay any attention. Hey, thank you so much for making us part of your morning and putting up with Matt today. He's a little bit out there.
Have you read Homer?
For Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman, and we'll see you next time, everybody.